My WWE Money in the Bank 2015 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view saw there a little while ago as far as my thoughts of this show from WWE. The undercard was very weak for this show, but there were two matches on this pay-per-view that saved the show, and there were two incredible matches. John Cena versus Kevin Owens. The second time was even better than the first time. It was incredible. Love that match. And then the ladder match for the WWE Championship with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. While it might not have been the ladder match some people were hoping for, a lot of crazy stuff. And they did do crazy stuff in it, but I think some people were probably expecting something different from it. But for a ladder match, it was good. I mean, they told a really good story with each other. A lot of good selling from Dean Ambrose in there. It made sense, with Seth Rollins trying to work over the left leg of Dean Ambrose the whole entire match, trying to stop him from climbing up there. Then, there were a number of 6 spots in there, and it just was like a ladder match where it had its brutal moments, but it was like not so brutal like they were trying to kill each other. But the crowd was really into it, and it was a damn good main event. They have great chemistry with each other, and once again, it showcases, Dean Ambrose is ready to be a future WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, this month and last month they are just testing the waters with it, and they know how the crowd is reacting to it. That the only thing I'm worried about WWE, which WWE doesn't tend to do this, TNA has done this in the past, which is a lot of companies when they want someone to be the world champion in the future, they kind of milk it a little too long where fans lose interest. That's the only thing I hope they do not do with Dean Ambrose. I hope they pull the trigger when it's right, and I would almost say it's right around the corner. They could probably pull it at SummerSlam or sometime this year. Maybe you don't want to drag it out any longer than WrestleMania. I mean, Dean Ambrose is definitely ready for it. I mean, he just connects with the crowd, and you don't want to wait forever where the fans start losing interest. That's the only thing I'm worried about they might do. But those two matches made this show into something I would say not necessarily go out your way to check the whole entire show out because there were a lot of weak things on here, but those two matches really saved the show and turned it into, a good show. When you have two great matches of the caliber of Kevin Owens versus John Cena, then Ambrose versus Rollins, and a ladder match, and this is, for the most part, a WWE show because anything that's not, Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or Survivor Series, the big four, to most casual fans, it's a B show. So to have two classic matches on, B show, that is saying a lot right there. But let me get into my review. The first matchup was on the pre-show. The pre-show match was R-Truth versus R-Truth versus King Barrett, and this was just your match you would see on Raw. It was a piss poor, match to put on here. Nothing no one needs to go out their way to see. R-Truth did pick up the win, so they're continuing the kind of push R-Truth to some degree and start having him rank up some victories here. About 1.5 stars, maybe 1 3/4 stars. Just the match you would expect to see on Raw. Not much of anything, especially for a pre-show match. You wouldn't expect too much anyway. Then the pay-per-view kicked off with the Money in the Bank ladder match. This is for the Money in the Bank briefcase. This had Randy Orton versus Neville versus Kane versus Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus versus Roman Reigns. And the way they started this was everyone was brawling, and then Kofi Kingston was noticing everyone brawling. He got on top of the ladder. He was trying to get the quick victory. Then everyone noticed him. Then they beat him down. Just in this, it wasn't much craziness or anything in here. There was a lot of headbutts that Dolph Ziggler was hitting on people in here on top of the ladder, so that was a little brutal. Him and Sheamus did really well in here, and you saw Neville hit the red arrow in here. Unfortunately, he didn't do it off the ladder. I was really wanting to see that in this match. Kofi Kingston and Neville, you saw them against each other for a little bit, but not to the level that you really wanted to see. This just seemed kind of like at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view they just did about, I think, 2 weeks ago, where they did the IC Chamber match, and they really didn't utilize much of the Chamber. That's kind of what this match was. They utilized the ladders to some degree. It just and the ending was very anticlimactic. You saw Randy Orton in the match hit a lot of RKOs. That was one of the cool spots in there, hitting RKOs on everyone out of nowhere. And then the ending saw, Sheamus get on top of the ladder and grab the briefcase. Very anticlimactic finish, and I don't mind Sheamus winning. I'm probably not going to hate it as much as some people will, but I really think that they should have given it to Roman Reigns here. I do not know why they wouldn't do that. I mean, with Roman Reigns winning this, you could have done just the most perfect storyline if Roman Reigns would have won this. Is you could have basically had Roman Reigns do the same thing Seth Rollins did, meaning that if Seth Rollins takes on Brock Lesnar, which you know Brock Lesnar is going to get a rematch at some point, and you had Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins in a title match, then wouldn't it be, you know, poetic justice for Roman Reigns to just come out there, turn it into a triple threat, cash it in, and basically win it in a triple threat fashion the same way Seth Rollins did to him? That would have just made a perfect storyline, unfortunately. I don't know why WWE did not think about doing that. Sheamus having this, he'll probably have it for a while because with him, they're going to wait probably a long time for him to cash it in. It probably won't be until, I could probably see until after Mania next year, him cashing in. I think they'll probably have this briefcase on him for a little while, barring that he doesn't get injured or anything. But as far as, you know, Money in the Bank ladder match, it was just decent at best. I'll give it 3 stars. Might be a little generous. There was some cool things in it, but just for, you know, an opening, you know, match of pay-per-view and something like Money in the Bank match, it should have had much more craziness involved in it. It just felt pretty average to the most part, 3 stars at best. The next matchup was Nikki Bella versus Paige for the Divas title. You know, with the passing of Dusty Rhodes that we had this week, very sad news right there. And they kind of paid homage to Dusty Rhodes in here. They did the whole Dusty finish where they did the false finish of it looking like Paige was going to win the title here because they did the whole twin magic thing. And you had her pin Brie Bella. Then the referee noticed that. Then it got restarted. Then Nikki ended up retaining the championship by pinning Paige after hitting the rack attack to Paige. So Nikki Bella is still the champion there. So kind of paying homage to Dusty Rhodes right there. So I like that. And it was actually not a terrible Divas match for pay-per-view. I just think they could do much, much more with Paige, especially if they bring up some of the women from NXT. She could be having awesome matches against some other women. Just Nikki Bella as Divas champion. I understand why she's champion. She is with Cena at the moment, so it makes, you know, sense why. I understand how she's got to her role right there, but I wish they would just give it to someone else other than Nikki Bella. But it wasn't a terrible women's match. It was decent, you know, 1 3/4 stars, maybe 2 stars. It wasn't a terrible women's match. Then the next matchup was the match I was dreading to see the most, and thankfully it was fairly short. This was Big Show versus Ryback for the IC title. They had Miz out there on commentary. Miz has been involved in this whole feud with Big Show and Ryback. And you had Ryback and Ryback go after the Miz in this match. Then the Miz ended up coming in the ring, attacking Big Show. So Big Show wins the match via disqualification. So Ryback is still the IC champion. Thankfully, it was very short. Since the way they ended it was so short, I really can't give it a rating. So it's one of those, you know, NA ratings. It wasn't like so. Now if it would have dragged on and it would have been like an actual official match, then it probably would have been a dud. But I'll just give it NA. Thankfully, they just did it the way they did. But unfortunately, with the way they did it, we're probably going to be seeing it, you know, countless times on Raw and SmackDown, and probably at the next pay-per-view Battleground. But hopefully we don't. I do not want to see a Big Show versus Ryback IC title feud. I do like that they put the IC title on Ryback because it will help his career. But you're not gonna rejuvenate someone's career if you put them in a feud with Big Show or Kane. WWE needs to realize that when you put Kane or Big Show with someone in a feud, it's a heat killer. No one cares about that wrestler or what they're doing. And unfortunately, if they continue this feud, that's the way people are going to feel with Ryback. But maybe I'll be wrong, because as bad as Ryback's been pushed, he's still heavily over with the crowd, and the crowd, you know, does the whole Phoebe more chants and pops whenever he's out there. So as bad as he's been utilized within WWE, the crowd is still on his side, surprisingly. Then the next matchup was easily the match of the night. This was Kevin Owens versus John Cena, number 2. This was just great, great wrestling. It was awesome from beginning to end. I mean, you saw John Cena pull out stuff that he normally never pulls out, and some things he very rarely or ever pulls out at all. You saw him hit a beautiful drop kick in this match. He hit a Hurricane Rana. And then, like, the one thing that was like the hugest shocker was, now it kind of looked like, you know, they botched it to a degree at one point, but Cena ended up hitting it. Cena actually hit a code red in this match, or a variation of a code red. And then you saw Kevin Owens. He was in this. He hit the attitude adjustment, and then he mocked John Cena, hit the 5-knuckle shuffle, and the crowd, just went nuts for that. I mean, the crowd was into this match the whole entire time. Just great back and forth action, tons of stuff. You saw the pop-up powerbomb utilized in here. You saw the Fisherman Buster off the top rope. And you saw in this match, you saw John Cena actually pick up the win here. But Cena put Kevin Owens over so well in this, and the way they did it, it did not hurt Kevin Owens. And anyone that thinks it hurts Kevin Owens losing to John Cena is a fucking moron, in my opinion, especially the way they did the post-match stuff. But it took 3 attitude adjustments for John Cena to pick up the victory and defeat Kevin Owens. So Kevin Owens kicked out of 2 of them. He got out of the STFU. He looked strong as hell in here. No one's looked this strong against John Cena in a losing fashion. And just, glad this feud's going to continue. This is probably WWE's best feud they've done this year. I mean, just the caliber of matches back-to-back they had with each other within a 2-week frame. They're both classic matches. 4.5 stars. Hell, I might even say it's 4 3/4 because I loved it that much. It's just the match everyone needs to go out their way to see. It was just incredible. And then the end of the match, you saw John Cena, basically, say he basically was like, he knew how great Kevin Owens was and wanted to pay respect to him. Try to shake his hand. Kevin Owens does it for a second, raises his hand. Then you knew what was going to come. Kicks him in the gut, and then hits the power bomb to the apron out there. So this feud is continuing. Can't wait to see their next match. Are they going to do it at Battleground or save it for SummerSlam? Obviously, the most logical thing they would do, and the most thing that would make the most sense would be saving it for SummerSlam and maybe doing some type of tag match or something at Battleground. That's the thing I would do with them. But just an incredible match. Everyone needs to go out their way to see that. Then after this was the New Day versus Primetime Players for the WWE Tag Team titles. This was actually a solid tag team match. Obviously, after the match you had before, you were never going to put out anything even close to that. But for going after such an incredible match as Kevin Owens and John Cena, these two teams did pretty well. I mean, it was a solid tag match, nothing spectacular, but decent for what it was. And the Primetime Players do actually pick up the win. So the Primetime Players are the new WWE Tag Team Champions. And obviously, you're going to have a Primetime Players versus New Day feud, which I really would not hate to see because Primetime Players, the way they've been kind of, doing these promos where they've been attacking all the tag teams, they kind of foreshadowed this pretty well that, they were probably going to be becoming WWE Tag Team Champions, so I wasn't shocked that they won here. It didn't surprise me one bit, especially since you had Xavier Woods in there. You didn't have Big E Langston or Kofi Kingston. You have to eat the pinfall, so Xavier took the pinfall in this match, and obviously they'll continue this. And wasn't too bad of a match. I would say, solid 3-star match, decent tag match. And then the main event was Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins for the WWE title in a ladder match. Like I said, some people might have been expecting something different from a ladder match, but I thought it was good, really good. I mean, they did a lot of good selling in this match. Dean did, and good in-ring psychology, which you never really see in a ladder match. You always just see a lot of crazy spots and high-flying shit in a lot of ladder matches, which I love seeing. But it's kind of cool to see a ladder match where you have like a little in-ring psychology where you have Seth Rollins working over the leg of Dean Ambrose, utilizing the ladders, utilizing chairs against it, and making sure he cannot get up off his feet. And then you have the whole thing of Dean Ambrose basically catching his second win, getting back in there, somehow finding a way out of all the pain to still hang in there. So that was a great story they told right there. And I love the one spot they did here. I think this is the first time that Dean Ambrose, or they've done the spot in WWE, to my knowledge. They did the, old Nigel lariat spot where you have an opponent draped on the top rope and they do the lariat from the other opponent. Dean Ambrose did the lariat and knocks him down onto a chair. That was really, really brutal right there. They brawled outside the crowd, brawled outside the ring. A lot of chair spots. They did stuff on the Spanish announce table, dirty deeds on that. Then there was a ladder draped from the ring apron to the announce table. You had Seth Rollins get thrown back into a back body drop. And just really good stuff with these two. I really think these two have great chemistry with each other. And, I really could see these two in the future main eventing a WrestleMania. I mean, that's how good of a chemistry they have with each other. Just, you know, the only thing is, if it would main event, you know, a WrestleMania, I would like to see, you know, no involvement of Kane, no authority, which thankfully we saw no J&J security. We saw no Kane. This was just Dean Ambrose and Seth in here. And the way they ended the match was perfect, I thought, which I kind of thought they were going to go this route, but thankfully they didn't go with the conflicting ending, which I thought they were going to go with. It looked like they were going to go the route of both of them grabbing the title at the same time and falling down with it and having it both in their hands, but the way they did it was they both fell down with it, but Seth held on to it, so Seth retained the championship. So just within his grasp, Dean Ambrose almost had the title once again. So they continue that Dean just keeps on coming up short, but he looks like he is going to become champion. I like the way they're doing that. Normally when they do that route of having the opponent looks like he's going to win, and he always comes up short, it always hurts him, but it does not hurt him one bit at all, for the most part, I would say. And just a really fun main event, 4 stars. I really enjoyed the main event a lot, and obviously I loved the Kevin Owens and John Cena match. So those 2 matches alone, even as weak as the rest of the pay-per-view was, I mean, you have to give this pay-per-view probably, it's a hard pay-per-view to rate just because of some of the undercard being so bad and very weak. So I'll admit that, but probably I would still have to give it, you know, 7.75. Probably an 8, just because of how great 2 of the matches were, and those 2 matches did take up a lot of the time on the pay-per-view. But the first hour of the pay-per-view was pretty brutal to watch, I will admit that. And the other thing I did forget to mention was with the Money in the Bank ladder match, they are setting up a program with Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. They had Bray Wyatt come out there, hit Sister Abigail on Roman Reigns, so I think Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt will be a pretty interesting feud, and I think Roman Reigns, you know, he's great in singles matches on pay-per-view, so I think we'll see great matches from him, but do you really want to stick Bray Wyatt in another feud where, you know, Bray Wyatt is always going to have to lose? You need to really, if you want to, stick Bray Wyatt in some type of feud where he'll start raking up some victories. I mean, he needs to get some victories because at this point, I mean, who's going to take him seriously, even as great as he is on the mic? So just wanted to throw that in because I did forget to talk about that. But like I said, about 7.75, 8 out of 10. Everyone needs to go out their way to see the Kevin Owens versus John Cena match and the main event ladder match with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And that's it for my WWE Money in the Bank 2015 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.